Owner and CEO of Design Tech Homes and DTH Renovation and Modeling. Some of you might remember Mike from his radio program called Better Home Show. Aired for 12 years on KSEV 700. Lots of advice through the years. Mike, thank you for being here. You've had a chance to talk to a number of people who've been impacted by this Harvey event.
We have.
What's one of the biggest things that you've taken away from that? People really need to know this.
Well, there's just a lot of misinformation out there about what they need to do when their home's been flooded. And quite personally, until this event, I'd never really been in a home that had been flooded 5 or 6 feet deep. I've been in homes that were flooded 6 inches, 12 inches. It's a little bit different this time because it's really devastating. These homes were underwater some days 8, 10, 12, some even 14 days. And so there's a lot of things that you now need to consider when you get back into your home. It's not just an easy cut out your sheetrock and kind of get your life back in order.
What makes it so difficult? I mean, well, I've always heard that if you got flooding, you get the wet, dry wall out as soon as possible, and from there you figure out the next steps. And you say those next steps can vary based upon a lot of different factors.
Yeah, you can. So if your home was built between 1965 and 72, one of the things that could have is aluminum wiring. If it has aluminum wiring and the water got above the outlets in the house, the city of Houston, cities are going to make you require you to remove the aluminum wiring. So it means you're going to have to rewire your whole house. That's one aspect that they may or may not be aware of. Now, not all homes had aluminum wiring, but there were many that did. Right. They also have galvanized plumbing in those old homes, and the serviceable life of galvanized plumbing was 40 years. So now, most of the homes I've been in, the wall board's been ripped out 5 foot or even higher, up to 8 foot, and I really, as a contractor, wouldn't put the sheetrock back or even redo the house until you really replace that plumbing. It's serviceable life's 40 years. These homes are over 40 years old. It's gonna fail if it hasn't already.
Now, you know that. How important is it to have a contractor who you can rely on, who knows the kind of things that you're talking about now? What do you use to judge if this contractor is right for me?
Well, the first thing is contractors are coming into town, and if they were not in business in the last year within the city or the county, the adjacent county, then they can't come in and take your money right away, meaning they can't get a deposit from you the day they meet you, and they also can't give you money down before they start work. So you really want to find a local contractor. It's against the Texas Property Code if they do that. They also can be, it's a Deceptive Trade Practice Act if they actually do that. And if you don't sign the contract in their place of business, a lot of them don't have a place of business, it's their pickup truck, then you have a 3-day right of rescission, and that should be stated on the contract.
This whole process is really kind of scary for people who've not gone through this before, to not have a relationship already. That can take a long time, can it not?
It can, but I think in this particular event, I think people need to be really, really careful more than any other event, because obviously the devastation is very vast, and there's a lot of people that did come into town and a lot of contractors that one day maybe they may have been a painter, but all of a sudden now they're an expert in home renovation. And you know, there's a lot of other items that I can go over. You know, your windows, if you had double pane windows and it got above the windows, and really if they were underwater for more than 24 hours, the seals can break now. So now, may not break today, but 2 months from now. So you got to consider that if you have insurance, to be able to report that to the insurance company. And if you don't, you're probably going to be replacing your windows if you don't want to have foggy windows every day.
How important is it to get started as soon as possible? Obviously, we're like a month into it right now, but starting as soon as possible would seem to be a really key element of all this as well.
Well, everywhere I've been, most people have done a really good job of removing the debris and removing the sheetrock. But one thing is, don't close it up really fast. I've been places where they go, oh, it's dry now. You need to take a moisture meter. That's why I just brought one so people can see what a moisture meter is. You can buy these at Home Depot for $30, $19, $40, depends on which one you buy. And you want to make sure that the moisture content in your home, before you cover it up, when you test the studs where they were all affected in the walls, you want to make sure it's below 15%. That's before you close up the wall. So I would also recommend, if you have a contractor telling you it's okay, to have them show it to you on their moisture meter, because I've seen people come in and go, hey, we can get all this fixed, and they're just trying to get quick money fast and start closing up the house.
A lot of buyer beware kind of things out there. How much should a homeowner know about the kinds of permits that need to be pulled for various kinds of work on your home?
Well, if you're in a city and you're doing renovation, you're going to have to pull city permits for renovation. There are reports already of people trying to do their own work, and the home's been devastated and the city's shutting you down. So There's so much going on. I'm sure some people will get away with it, but if a contractor goes in and tries to pull it without a permit, again, there's supposed to be inspections. So you'd want your home inspected and going through this process, because if they don't do it right, you could have fire, and you can have mold grow, you can have all different things that could happen to you if it's not being done correctly.
And I should note that you're experiencing this right now. You've got Main Street America. That's something that you own, the CEO of, and that's a complex up off Interstate 45, totally flooded. How much flood did you get?
We had 2 to 4 feet, and we had all 12 of our model homes get water in them, a lot. And lost, just like everyone else who's out there, we lost all the furniture, we lost our main building, we lost our design center. So I was affected in every part of our business, and even an off-site warehouse. So basically everything I own other than my house, so fortunately that didn't get flooded, has been flooded. So I got to experience this a whole lot and really kind of dig into it, unfortunately maybe a little personally, on my own.
Critical to know that insurance is what's really helped you in that regard, and that's a key thing that people really need to make sure that they try to get flood insurance, one of those things that a lot of people didn't have.
Yes, I definitely would recommend anyone owning a home have flood insurance. It's pretty inexpensive. It's about $450 if you're not in a floodplain. That's a pretty inexpensive insurance policy.
Got a minute left. You have a formula that you use to sell people to kind of, and we don't have a chance to go through the whole thing, but I want to make sure that I can get a brief example of what you talk about when you say, well, what should I do with my house?
Okay, so if you have a home that has been flooded, there's a decision grid you need to go through. One could be I want to rebuild my home. One could be I'm going to renovate it. And the other one, in some cases, maybe you only owned it for a year and have 5% down. You might even walk away from it. And so that's not something that any bank wants or I would suggest doing, but those are things that might go through people's minds.
But you have a formula set up that lets people kind of look at that formula to decide what to do, correct?
We do, and we can post that on your website so that they can see it.
You say all the right things, Mike. I appreciate that. We're going to do that. I'm going to make sure that that's on my website as well. Mike Feigin, thank you so much for coming here. Your advice is going to help a lot of people, I'm sure, with their rebuilding efforts, I'm sure.
Appreciate
Good luck on you getting back on your feet with that America. What's the name of it?
Main Street America.
Main Street America. Got to get that right. All right. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you. Hey, just ahead, what do you do